semifinals. Today's first game is between the Seattle Sounders FC and Montreal Impact FC.
FC Dallas, and it is a beautiful day in Frisco, Texas for this first semifinal in the Premier Division. Joined by Bobby Warshaw, I am Carter Augustine, and Bobby, this should be a really wonderful matchup between two attacking sides.
Carter, we've had good games all week, but I'm really excited for the semifinals. As you'd expect, it's nice to truly have something on the line in these games, but also to see the quality of teams we have today. Seattle has probably been the most exciting team all week, and Montreal brings a specific brand of soccer that's always fun to watch.
Of course, these two teams finishing top of their groups in the Premier Division, which led them to this stage, the semifinal, first of two today in the Premier Division and two later on this evening in the Champions Division. Of course, Montreal and Seattle, the first, and they will play the winner of New York Red Bulls and Monterrey, which will take place right after this game. Seattle winning Group A, Montreal winning Group B. And that leads them to Toyota Stadium. And Bobby, easily the best day so far of the competition as well. It's just a beautiful day here in Dallas.
It's nice to finally get this day, isn't it? This is kind of what we expected when we came. The first three game days have been windy, they've been a little cold. But here you can see the sun is out, there's no real brisk wind, it's a gorgeous day. Everyone says that players love to play in the rain and the crap. No. This is what we want as players. We want this kind of gorgeous day and gorgeous field.
Really looking forward to this one. As we mentioned, the two group winners of Group A and Group B, Seattle Sounders and Montreal Impact, just about ready to kick off here from Frisco, Texas. Seattle will start with the ball wearing their traditional rave green, I believe it's called, on blue. Montreal in the all-whites, heading from left to right on your screen. And we are underway, and immediately Seattle will pump it forward into the Montreal half as we start the first semifinal in the Premier Division between two MLS teams here in the Generation Adidas Cup 2018. And Bobby, it's, as you mentioned, a little bit more on the line today. It's a knockout game. Can we expect something different from these teams as opposed to how they played in the group stages?
The goal in knockout games, Carter, is to keep it as normal as possible. You obviously have the emotions running. Everyone's excited. But the best teams at knockout games just make it like they do every other game. They play the same style that they've trained all day, all year. So the goal is to not do anything different at all.
Early battle for possession between the two teams. And let's go ahead and get you the starting lineups. We'll start with Seattle, who started with the ball and have now controlled possession in midfield. They've got a new keeper in along the back line as opposed to the guy that started all three of the group games, who was Robert Haraka. Conrad Lee getting into the starting lineup today.
And Haraka got hurt about midway through the second half of their decider against Columbus Crew. Whoever won that game was going to move on. Haraka got hurt. Lee comes on, and Carter, I'm not sure Lee had a single shot before the game went to penalty kicks, and he saved 3 Columbus Crew shots. He was the hero, even though coming on cold. It was a fantastic performance for a 16-year-old like that.
Certainly he'll be looking to build upon that as he is thrust into the starting lineup today for Seattle. Here's a nice move by Gabriel Capano-Gauthier for Montreal to escape pressure. So let's continue with the Seattle starters from left to right along the back line. Connor Drought, Blake Malone, Leo Burney, and Enrique Montana. The two holding midfielders, Peter Kingston and Joshua Atencio. The front three behind the forward, Marlon Vargas, Daniel Robles, and Ray Serrano. And up top, Azriel Gonzalez for the Seattle Sounders. Here's a ball out of play, so it'll be the first goal kick for, as we mentioned, Conrad Lee getting his first start, the hero in the penalty kick shootout in the last game for Seattle Sounders in the group stage. Meanwhile, for Montreal, winners of Group B, they have 9 players that have started every single match so far in their starting lineup today. A very consistent side for Montreal, and here they are moving forward with a throw-in deep in the Seattle half. In goal, Jonathan Sirois. Along the back line, London Duran-Brown, Zakiel Brault, Gabriel Capano-Gauthier, and Zachary Fernandez. In midfield, Moulay Abdullah Kanzi Belgiti, Connor Manuel, Yannick Laurent, and Jeremy Omeonga. And then Callan Kalajoglu sits behind Wubens Pashis in attack. And again, Bobby, as I mentioned, 9 players have started every single match so far for Montreal. Has to lead to some consistency in the way they play.
It does bring consistency on the counter to that, because you always want consistency and cohesion within a team. It's difficult for any player, whether they're a 30-year-old professional or a 17-year-old like we see on the field, to stay mentally focused for all these games. So that's what I'm looking for. And when you watch this Montreal team play, so much of it is around hard work and patterns around their game plan that I'll be keeping an eye to see the same players in their 4th game inside a single week, if they can stay focused and limit their mistakes.
We did mention the weather early on in the week here in the Dallas area, and that allowed for some rescheduling of the group matches. So these teams haven't played since Monday. There's a nice pass along the near sideline. Connor Droft getting forward. And Drought with a nice ball inside. Gonzalez cuts inside. He's got a chance on goal. Big save. And then the rebound is hammered home. Seattle, right on the 4-minute mark with the perfect start. They lead 1-0.
Great goal by the Sounders. And Connor Drought has been excellent all week. These marauding runs forward into the opposition's box. And what we saw there is Drought gets into the opposing 18 and he stays composed. Instead of trying to just go for a cross or go for a goal, he picks up his head. He finds the player. And this is a trait of the Seattle Sounders Academy. When they do get in these positions, here we can see Drought lifting his head. Everyone is so composed. And that's what the Sounders try and do, and such a nice finish. It seems easy to just pound a ball into a goal, but those volleys are never simple. He keeps his chest over the ball, shot compact. A great goal by the Sounders.
It was Marlon Vargas who was alert to the rebound, pounces on it, gives Seattle the 1-0 lead, his 3rd goal of the tournament. And what a start for Seattle. Excuse me, Bobby.
It's always interesting to see what happens after an early goal, Carter. 2 things generally happen, or one of 2 things. One, the team that scores really sits back and the other team starts to attack because the other team has given up a goal and their nerves are gone. They realize that that's the worst that can happen. They're still here. They're still fighting. Or the other thing is that the team that gives the goal actually goes into a shell and they get shell-shocked, and the other team has confidence, they have momentum. So I'll be interested to see here who has the ball for the next 3 or 4 minutes and who responded from that goal properly.
Well, Montreal does have experience in this tournament from coming from behind to win. They went down in the 5th minute to Colorado in their first group game and then came from behind to win 2-1. So we'll see if they have it in them to do the same here this afternoon. There's a long ball forward from Jonathan Sirois. Some space along the left-hand side, but good tracking back from Seattle. That was Joshua Atencio, who led Seattle in passes, recoveries, defensive actions, and dribbles. All-action midfielder, and he's played every minute of the tournament so far as well. There's a lovely turn along the far side. And the ball slipped in for Wubens Pashis, but just a little too heavy from Kanzi Belgiti. Seattle, who, as we mentioned, won Group A thanks to a 6-1 win in their first game over Matsumoto Yamaga from Japan. A 3-1 win over New England, and then a 0-0 draw against Columbus, which they turned into an extra point via penalty shootout win. Second ball won by the Impact here. Miscommunication from Zachary Fernandez, but he does well to stop the ball forward.
We talked about a response from the Montreal Impact. We can see in this throw, and these are one of the cues to see where you can tell how a team's mental state is. Such a key moment on this throw, and if they can lock him into this side, it's a quick opportunity to get a chance on goal. And do they look ready? Here we see them let him out, and now the Montreal coach, that concerns me that Seattle got out on just one pass like that. Montreal wasn't a little tighter.
Unable to keep it in along the far side, and now Kanzi Belghiti streaming forward, but good covering play from the Seattle back line to pump it out of play.
Carter, what a treat for these kids to be able to play in the FC Dallas Stadium like this.
Something you earn by winning your group. Certainly a lovely stadium as well. Got the Hall of Fame still being completed to the right-hand side of your screen.
And there's not an MLS crowd, but just to be in the stadium, in this in general environment, and you get the locker rooms, and you walk down the stairs, and you walk past the supporter section, all those things make your heart beat a little faster. And it's good for these kids, too, so when they do get to the first team, they'll have experienced these things. They know what it's like. It's a long walk to the FC Dallas locker room, and it sounds weird, but it's an adjustment. Usually as a 17-year-old, you get out of the car, you go to the bench, and you put on your boots. It's those little things. It's nice to give those kids those experiences.
It's a pass sprayed a little too far for Kanzi Belghiti as well. Of course, Bobby, you would know all about that walk from the locker room here at FC Dallas. Making your triumphant return to Toyota Stadium. Look a little different than it did back then?
The stadium looks a little different. Frisco's certainly blown up. But I'll tell you what, Carter, there's nothing like having a game in July, you play 45 minutes in the Texas heat, and then you walk up 2 flights of stairs to the locker room. Nothing can prepare you for that.
See how the players react to that long walk up the stairs. Still plenty of time left until halftime. Of course, games here at the GA Cup, 35-minute halves. It's played out of bounds along the far side, Seattle ball. Montreal, meanwhile, their group stage action. Mentioned the come-from-behind win 2-1 over Colorado in their first game. They lost their second game to Tijuana 2-1, but then came up with a huge victory. A late goal from Kalajoglu propelled them to a 2-1 victory over Philadelphia Union in what was a really tough group. You listen to those 4 teams in Group B. Battle for possession here along the near sideline. It's a really tough group that Montreal were able to win.
We were standing there on the sideline as Montreal scored that late winner, and you could just feel how excited they were. Their celebration was awesome.
Here's another attack from a turnover for Seattle. The ball just run out of play. That was another chance for Marlon Vargas there, who leads this team with 4 assists. Of course, that 6-1 thrashing of Matsumoto Yamaga will help in terms of the stats for the group stage, but 4 assists from Vargas. He just ran out of room there along the near-hand side.
Of all the players in the tournament, Seattle has, and for players that have contributed to goals, Seattle has number 2 and number 3. Daniel Robles, the number 10, and Vargas, the number 11 on the wide area. Both of the second most have contributed to 6 goals. Now, it helps that they've scored so many. But it just shows how lethal their attacking trio can be.
Excellent attacking trio. There's a good touch from Kalajoglu, but his pass well blocked in the back by Leo Burney.
It's probably more fair to call it a attacking quattro, but that doesn't sound as right.
The quartet.
The quartet, there we go.
For the Seattle Sounders. Well, you talk about how dangerous they are in attack. They've been really impressive throughout this season, haven't they, the Seattle Sounders?
They've scored the most. Thanks for teeing me up there. They have scored the most goals in the Development Academy this year. We got to see a presentation by the head of their academy, Mark Nichols, and he showed us that in most attacking categories, they are right at the top. He was very proud of it. he was happy. It was kind of awkward because there's the other 20 head of the academies for the DA, and here the Sounders are up there saying, look how good we are and look how far behind us you guys are.
A little pump for the chest in the many presentations, which is one of the highlights as far as the coaching staffs and us as announcers. Get to hear presentations from every team that is here in attendance. Good one-touch interplay here. And a strong challenge from Connor Drought, and it had to be as Montreal looked like they may get in behind there.
A pressing moment by Serrano. It's nice to see him try and close down Brault there. As the ball goes backwards, a defender's back is facing you. It's a cue to press, and it's important that these younger players recognize those things on the field.
So that impressive Seattle attack with the early goal just on the 4-minute mark here in this first semifinal in the Premier Division. And Seattle leads 1-0. There's a foul conceded and a talking to for Daniel Robles. Montreal can restart quickly here. Another turnover from Kalajoglu. Again, ushered out a play from Seattle.
It looks like Pacius for Montreal has come out right. He's played center striker in the first 3 games so far, and that's where we had him on our team sheet, but it appears, Carter, that he's now playing on the right. And Omianga is up top by himself. An early tactical adjustment by the Impact.
It's a good spot, Bobby. We'll have to see how those two guys continue to play throughout this match with Seattle. Wubens Pashas, of course, like you mentioned, has started every game up top. And really impressive as well in this tournament. And here he is getting a slip pass on the right-hand side. Good first touch. Omianga runs over it. Really good opportunity for Montreal there.
Nice to see that creativity. It didn't come off, but Omianga clearly had a thought in his mind, and that's the place to go for it, right at the top of the box.
How about a word for the defender as well? Not fooled by the dummy from Omianga there.
You mentioned the symposiums that they put on for the coaches. I was fortunate enough to do a 2-day coaching course for scouts, where we got a license to be a scout put on by members of the Manchester United coaching staff. And one person that they noted after watching the first 3 group games was Montreal center midfielder Yannick Laurent. Everyone in the group was impressed, and the Manchester United scouts in particular told us to watch him because they really like what they had seen so far.
The captain for the Montreal Impact.
On the ball right there.
Really calming presence in midfield.
Nice. As he makes these passes, checking his shoulders, just keeping it moving. That's high-level stuff from a center midfielder. It seems simple and easy. Shoulders, you always know what's going on around you. And as I say that, he loses it, of course. Great job, Bobby.
Commentators curse in full effect there. Laurent did have the game-winning assist in that 2-1 come-from-behind victory over Colorado Rapids. Just set it on a tee for Wubens Pashas. One of the easier tap-ins he'll ever have in his career.
One thing I've been interested by the Sounders all week is their balance in midfield. Here's Atencio on the ball, and you see Kingston staying central. As the ball advances, Kingston will go and find it, and Atencio will then tuck in. It's something the Sounders have done very well to have that double pivot where if one leaves the center, the other stays. It's an advantage they've had over some of the other teams.
And how does that match up with this Montreal midfield, which is listed as a 4-4-1-1, but maybe we'll see Kalajoglu try and tuck in to help out with those 2 holding midfielders?
Well, every team talks about balance to the center midfield. It's like when every coach gets a job, they say they're going to play beautiful football. Where every team says they've got balance in center midfield, but it's harder said than done. And this Montreal team, not taking anything away from them, but they've got 2 very energetic players in the midfield, and sometimes they do vacate that zone right in front of the center backs.
Kalajoglu picked out a nice pass. Plenty of space here on the right-hand side. Fernandez with a cross and an attempt at the bicycle on goal, but just not enough steam behind it. Decent passage of play there from the Impact. Like that was Kalajoglu getting back into the box after initially spraying that pass out wide right. Good recovery in the back by Connor Manuel. There's a foul against the Impact, who did have 8 yellow cards in their 3 group games. Not afraid to get after it on the defensive side as well.
Great recognition by Montana there. Not just getting forward, but trying to get the opposing outside back slightly under hit by Kingston. As Kingston gets older, he'll understand you have to overhit that ball. Your runner either gets to it or you pin them back in the channel behind the outside backs, but a nice stop by that Sounders duo.
Montana has played every minute for Seattle in their 3 group stages.
And that attacking quartet gets a lot of credit, but the outside backs for the Sounders have been excellent. Both Montana and Drought have been consistent, excellent performers in the 3 group games.
It's a battle for possession, and Ray Serrano able to keep it for the Sounders, and now they have some numbers forward in attack here. Slip pass in behind, offside. Gonzalez just about getting that one wrong.
Again, we see these trademark movements by the Sounders. They get the ball in the danger zone right in front of the opposition center backs, and they keep their composure. The wide players make slashing runs centrally, and then they try and pick them out, or they catch Drought or Montana overlapping. It's beautiful patterns by the Sounders, and we just saw it on display a minute ago.
Here's Omeonga picking up a foul. Appears that for the time being he has swapped back out to right midfield for Montreal. So here's Wubens Pashis tackling from behind from his striker position. Pashis cutting inside.
Tencio had to win that. Kingston was already out. When Tencio was the defensive mid at that point, you cannot let them buy you into that zone.
Ball to the far post, still alive for Montreal. Kanzi Belghiti has to retreat. And then Yannick Laurent still on it. He'll try a curler. Tipped over the bar. Conrad Lee had to be sure. But all of that stemmed from that missed tackle in midfield.
Great reaction from Laurent to go ahead and win it back. So many good attacking opportunities. Don't just come from when you're on the ball, but that moment when you lose it, if you can win it back right away, and that's what we saw from Montreal. And then just a touch of creativity from Laurent to go for the bender over the goalie.
Looked like that was really testing Conrad Lee. Did a good job to get a palm to it over the crossbar. Here's the corner. And a decent chance it was. Looked like Pashis rose highest above everyone. Take a look at the save here from Conrad Lee, making his first start for the Sounders in this tournament. Got the headband as well.
It's interesting to see neither team try and play out from their goalies. All week at G Cup, we've seen teams play out of the back from goalkeeper to center back almost to a default. So it's fascinating here in the semifinal that neither team has really made it a priority.
Outside of the boot pass intercepted by Capano Gauthier. And now Fernandez into the feet of Omeonga. Clever move from Omeonga, and now he's looking for the return. Strong play from Omeonga, and he's away down the right-hand side. His cross blocked and out of play. Well, we're 21 minutes in now. Montreal conceding early, but now Seattle concedes a corner kick. So this time, the Impact take it from the near side.
You can see on your screen that the Montreal Impact players are crowding around Lee, the goalkeeper for the Sounders. A lot of teams start with their runners at the top of the box. So here we see Montreal Impact trying to crowd around Lee. Perhaps it's because it's his first start. They've done some scouting. They think he might be nervous or not good at balls in the air. But they're going to whip this straight into him and make Lee try and come out and get it.
In swinging cross to the back post. Good delivery and good punch away from Conrad Lee, you're spot on. Bobby looking to test the goalkeeper from the corner kick there.
And Lee answered it, didn't he? Very nicely done.
Strong punch that goes all the way clear for a throw, and a miscommunication on that throw, and Seattle maybe now able to push out. Well, you talked about how does a team respond after conceding early. What do you make of Montreal in these 15 minutes since conceding?
It's been a good reaction. It's a little bit like we talked about. Sounders have been forced back. Montreal has had most of the ball.
Cross in from Fernandez. Pashas there, and then on the back post, Kanzi Belghiti just wouldn't fall for him on the bounce.
You know, I hate to use cliche metaphors, but it almost holds true that when you score, you just let your foot off a pedal just, 1 degree, and you give up the goal and you say, oh crap, we got to go, and you push down on the pedal a little more. We see it so often that even though you think the team that goes down should lose confidence, they just push a little harder, and that's what we're seeing right now, Montreal pinning back Sounders for much of this first half.
Pashas flicking it forward. But one in midfield by Atencio. And then back for Montreal. Slammed forward. Blake Malone did a good job there of standing tall against the imposing presence of Wubens Pashas. Now Montreal again with most of their players inside the Seattle half. Kanzi Belghiti wanted Kalajoglu to read his intentions there.
Sounders are getting stretched. They're chasing individually, and it's easy for the Montreal Impact to find spots. If they had connected that pass, they would have been 3v2 on the sideline. You can see the Sounders coaching staff commuting to their players, telling them to get more compact. I actually don't know if that's what he's saying, but I'm guessing he's telling them to get more compact.
It's a pretty decent guess, as Montreal has done a good job of switching the point of attack. Here's another ball lumped forward for Pashas. This time he's saying it went up with his chest, but the referee disagrees. A foul, and Blake Malone has to wear that one. And a yellow card for Wubens Pashas, maybe for dissent, maybe for the foul.
Blake Malone's been so good all tournament. There's a lot of players, you come to events like this, like GA Cup, and you hear about the star number 10, the star wingers. But Blake Malone has just impressed me so much all week. Strong on moments like this in the air, composed in possession, reads the game well.
Celebrated his birthday while he was down here, Blake Malone. And as you mentioned, he's been very strong. They have a pretty comprehensive stat database for this tournament, and Blake Malone was the second highest graded player in the Premier Division in the group stage. First being player from Tigres, but they did not advance.
That gives Blake Malone the win by default, doesn't it?
I believe so, as he'll take second place and a spot in the semifinals over being the highest graded.
Ray Serrano got called for the foul, but I liked how he tried to find the defender there, especially as a slight player. If you can find the defender, you don't always have to go for the ball first. If you can find the defender, hold him off, get your balance. So it didn't come off there. It's a skill I'll have to continue to learn, but it's nice to see that he recognizes the need for that moment.
And maybe in stark contrast to Wubens Pashas just moments ago, as he clattered into the defender and earned a yellow card.
Yeah, so often if you can back in and maybe just a slight forearm into the ribs of the defender, and then you get positioning and you get your balance and you put them off their balance, it's such an advantage for an attacker, and as a defender it's hard to deal with.
That being said, Serrano was called for the foul, so Montreal trying to play it out from the free kick, and it's a loose pass in midfield from Connor Manuel, but he can breathe easy as the connection doesn't pay off for the Sounders in attack. Here's Serrano. Excuse me. Atencio or Gonzalez along the far side. Here's Atencio on the ball. Does really well to keep possession under a double team in midfield. Lucky bounce for the Sounders there. Now we've got a bit of pinball action, but finally settled by Atencio. And the Sounders now with their best spell of possession in the past 10 or 15 minutes.
This is really nice possession play from the Sounders. A little anxious in the end from Bernie, but the Sounders, simple passes, maneuvering the Montreal Impact to the right side of the field. Boom, 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 bring it out central, back to the left. Bring the Montreal Impact back to the left, recognize the impact to shift it over and try and get out the other side. It can be a little quicker, they can be a little faster to change their rhythm to catch Montreal in between the lines, but the idea is great by the Seattle Sounders in attack.
Call and play from the right back Montana there. And now Malone striding forward. His pass picked by Omeonga. Well read by the Montreal attacker, and now Pashis. First touch a little goofy. And as he tried to get around the defender, he slips. And Bernie now from his right center half position trying to get forward, and it's a misplayed pass from Montreal.
We've seen a similar pattern from the Sounders. I want to point it out, Carter. They do it often, whether it's in the final third trying to break lines or in the middle third trying to get out of trouble. And it's a third runner coming for a simple layoff. The ball goes forward. A third runner follows the ball, whether it's the passer or somebody else, and the person who's receiving the ball can just make that little 1 yard pass back into them for the third runner to then play out of trouble or to play forward. Watch that for the rest of the game from the Sounders. It's something they clearly work on in training.
Free kick taken quickly, looking for the run of Serrano, but he had taken off a little too quickly as well. He's offside. Ray Serrano, one of the two players under contract, already signed a pro contract. That's got to be a nice weight off his chest.
I hope it's not. I hope it's a weight on. This is a pet peeve of mine. I'm glad you brought it up with these young players. I hope he realizes that the hard work starts now, that he didn't sign up to quote-unquote live a dream. He signed up to have the hardest hustle of his life because he's now in the most competitive market of any employment in the world.
There's a clash of heads along the back line for Montreal, and good work from the referee as Connor Manuel is down. Seattle not too happy as they had possession, but you could clearly see those two guys colliding in midair, and it's a head injury. And that will allow for a water break here as well. There's 5 minutes and stoppage time left to go in this first half. Seattle leading 1-0, and we talked about earning a pro contract. A lot of these coaches have said that the number one goal of this tournament is to develop pros and not necessarily to win the thing, but now, of course, these two teams are here. They'll be looking to progress through to the championship game on Saturday.
And we talk about development of players, particularly after both Canada and the United States didn't qualify for the World Cup. There's this rush to say, how do we produce better players? What are we doing wrong? And naturally it goes to producing better players on the ball. We talk about playing better soccer and better possession. But then we get to a tournament like this and we say, hey, we can do all that, but we still have to win. We still have to remember how to win games. And so often we talk about process and we can't get too fessed up with winning and losing on any given day. But geez, it certainly feels like sometimes we're forgetting the ability to just win games, to grind out results. And that's why it's nice to see a semifinal game like this where, hey, at some point, if we're trying to produce players, it's for moments like this so you can win a semifinal game in a gorgeous stadium like this. So, yeah, Carter, something we've talked about often. How do you balance this idea of development with, hey, let's teach these kids just to stinking go out and win games?
These two teams have done that excellently well in the tournament. 2 wins for each of them in the group stages, enough to advance on to the semifinal. And Connor Manuel, unfortunately, is going to have to be withdrawn here. He'll be replaced by Cedric Toussaint. And we hope Connor Manuel isn't too badly beaten up there. Gosh, he looked woozy coming off the field. Best wishes with the Montreal Impact center midfielder. And so Cedric Toussaint will make his third substitute appearance of the tournament. Number 28 in midfield in white. So after that long delay for the injury, Montreal trying to get started again, and Pashis might have to be careful now. He's on a yellow card, and it looks like he has the attention of the head referee as well. This time, a foul given for referee making a forearm motion.
We talk about possession. We talked about a few minutes ago. And a lot of people would have liked that ball from Atencio, switch the field. But the problem is with the possession team, by the time it gets to Drought and it bounces to his chest, it's such a difficult ball for the left back to take. The opposition can shift over. So when you're a possession team, those are the balls in the air that take a long time to get to your player that you want to avoid. And that's something that Atencio will learn, is he learns how to build rhythm as he gets older.
Good interplay, and the ball put into a decent area along the top of the box by Daniel Robles. Atencio checks his shoulder, and now he's sprung an attack forward. Robles into the area, trying to cut it back. No, he'll fizz it across the 6. No one there on the back post for Seattle. What a good passage of play from the Sounders.
That was one of the zones that the Seattle Sounders staff specifically talked about in their course at the symposium. This area, 6 to 10 yards outside of the 18, is one of the ones they want to attack. It's similar to what Man City does under Pep Guardiola. If you can get the ball there and find a pullback, find a ball across the goal, they are very dangerous.
Clever back heel. Still alive for Seattle as Vargas took a tumble. But Seattle moving forward, one touch passing along the edge of the area, just doesn't quite come off for him there. And then a turnover in a bad area, and Pashis just unable to receive the pass. Could have been a counterattack straight up the other end for Montreal. Good pressure from Robles, but he's eased off the ball by Capano Gauthier. And settled in midfield by Montreal. They have some numbers moving forward. Oneonga's in decent position along the right-hand side. If he can catch up to this ball, no, he just can't. Runs out of play as we hit the 35-minute mark, and we're officially into stoppage time here in the first half. Conrad Lee takes affairs of the situation and again pumps the goal kick forward.
You can see Lee bringing the ball to the left side of his goal, left side of the field, because they want to target Gauthier, the smaller of the two Montreal center backs. It's a normal tactic on goal kicks. If you are going to play out, you generally choose the side where the opposition has the shorter, or at least the center back who's not as good in the air.
There's another foul on Serrano trying to post up. Kind of like you mentioned, Bobby trying to find his defender there, but just wrapped around the backside of the defender.
It's the third time the referee's made that exact same call. He made one on Pacious too. Talk about players having tendencies. Referees do as well.
It's a good note, as this referee has called that offensive foul on the forward trying to post up a number of times. Maybe the teams will start to take notice. Here's a free kick for Montreal late into stoppage time in the first half. Can they find a goal before halftime? Curled into the far post, and a strong catch from Conrad Lee. Might have the wind knocked out of him there, but he gets up. I don't think that was intentional from Zachary Fernandez running onto that.
I was wondering, what's the referee saying to him right now? He just was playing soccer. He didn't mean to run into him. I'm biased as a player. It feels like referees are always trying to steal the show, but
Curious one there. Fernandez gets a talking to, and those are the last words of the first half as Seattle will take a 1-0 lead into halftime, and Bobby Warshaw, a deserved lead for Seattle?
a deserved lead. Both teams should feel good about their first half. Seattle certainly will feel good about having a lead at the half, but there's definitely warning signs. Montreal did a lot of good things, and if Seattle doesn't tighten things up at halftime, they're going to be in trouble.
There is the goal from Marlon Vargas. That is the difference at halftime. Seattle Sounders leading by a 0-0 here in the first semifinal of the Generation Adidas Cup 2018. Stay with us. We'll be right back for the second half action between Seattle and Montreal. All right, cool. Good to meet you guys. How's it going? Good to see you.
Can you guys stand like games so I can test this? He said it was shoot to everything. Yep.
That was a good first half. Yeah, that felt good. You know a weird phobia I have? I don't know if you have one too. Whenever I say someone's name, like for David, I'm like concerned in the middle of it. I'm going to say Dan or like Don. Maybe I'm like, or I'm going to say Cameron or something like that. You know, because you're just like in the flow. Probably good weather. Yeah, you did. Brought that Portuguese weather. You an LAFC fan now? Yeah.
They have more Portuguese players than anybody in the league.
Don't tell me who else they have. Just Blessing Portuguese.
I know he has a very Portuguese name.
Blessing.
He has a very Portuguese name. The guy he shares a name with a Portuguese international.
Oh, Machado. I think you're
Together,
saying
Bobby.
I think you're saying
I'm on Snapchat today. Really? Not good, thanks.
Welcome back to Toyota Stadium here in Frisco, Texas. First semifinal of the Premier Division, the 2018 Generation Adidas Cup. Hello there, I'm Carter Augustine, joined by Bobby Warshaw. Bobby, it's a 1-0 lead for Seattle here as we start the second half, and Montreal immediately pumping it forward. What does this second half have in store for us? A place on the final on Saturday is on the line here for these two teams in the Premier Division. Scooped forward by Omeonga and then cushions out of play. Bobby, what does Montreal have to do here in this second half to try and get back into it?
I can't imagine they're going to try and change too much. They had moments in the first half. They controlled most of the 35 minutes. So the coaching staff probably just tried to encourage them and rebuild the belief that they can get the goal they need.
Of course, Seattle could be dangerous on the counter here. There's a man over, and the ball slipped through. It's Serrano charging in, and the goalie, Sirois, quickly off his line to snuff out the danger. Seattle ever so close to getting a second there.
Great read by Sirois. Montreal was caught out. You always need your goalkeeper to be vigilant to help you in moments like that when you're stretched. Great play by Sirois.
Montreal, they have scored in the second half of all three of their group stage games here in Frisco this week, so they are used to coming out from the halftime break and getting on the score sheet.
And we should note with this Montreal team in the second half, they have won 2 games late. They feel comfortable in the second half. They're certainly confident in the second half right now. They came back against both Colorado and Philadelphia to steal wins. So they're not used to this moment.
Duran Brown slipped on the ball there, and that's allowed Seattle in behind. Gonzalez into the area, and a strong challenge there. Zachiel Brawl able to tackle away from Gonzalez when he looked like he was in a really good position for Seattle. A frantic start here to the second half, and there's players in great positions for Montreal. Easy to see from up here, but the pass not made.
Oh, he just played it to the wrong side. The exact same pass to the right side would have been a goal there.
Omeonga screaming for the ball on the right-hand side of attack.
I'm glad you point that out, though. It's easy for us to see. That always makes players mad when commentators tell them they messed up. Well, yeah, when it's nice and slow at the full field, it's easy to tell.
And not a bad option for Montreal to try and find Wubens Pashis and try and get him a little more involved in this second half. Looked like that's what they were doing on that particular play, and now Pashis has picked up a foul for his team. A chance for the center halves to come forward for this free kick. Kalajoglu and Durand Brown, righty-lefty here. Several options for Montreal.
And you have two people over the ball because Seattle's going to drop. They're at the top of the 18, and they're going to try and time their drop with whoever plays this free kick. But if you don't know who's going to play it, either somebody running over or somebody waiting, it messes up the line that you drop at. Some people drop early, some late, and it makes it easier for the attackers.
So we'll see what type of free kick shenanigans we have here. The referee, however, still waiting for the check, as that's a good reminder for us to tell you that VAR is being used in these semifinals. Nothing. Oh, there is a decision here from the referee. Signaled for VAR.
Did you see anything? What are they checking? Something off the ball?
Could be on the tackle, perhaps a red card. Of course, there are only 4 things you can check for in VAR. One of them being a red card. Wrong identity being another.
That's everyone's favorite. I love when announcers say that. Penalty kicks.
Penalty kicks.
Violent conduct is for?
I think we already said that one. Boy, I'm going to get a letter here from
About to
the
say,
MLS head offices here.
Fans of Instant Replay are going to be so mad at me right now. You guys, I've had a week off from the show, all right? Take it easy.
So the referee here taking a look at the video review on the far side. Goals, I think, is the other one, I believe. In any case, it's a stoppage of play here, and you saw the head ref make the box signal, and he's going over to take a look at himself. And we just got an announcement from the PA that it's for a possible red card offense.
We should note that. Yes, if you heard that through our microphones, the video assisted referee did just talk to the stadium, kind of like they do in NFL games, where there's a penalty, the referee clicks the button on his belt, and then he can talk to the whole stadium. And that's what our video VAR just did there. Something new they're trying, we're told. You got the fourth one right, by the way, goals. Goals, penalty kicks, mistaken identity, and red cards.
And red card it is for Woobens Pashis. Straight red from the video assistant review. And here is, we'll see if the referee can use his microphone. It's something, as you mentioned, as we see Woobens Pashis making the lonely walk off the pitch. Montreal is going to have to play this game, the remainder of this game, with a man down, as Pashis has been sent off from video assistant review. You saw they are testing something, as Bobby mentioned, trying to do a more NFL-style ability to announce. We'll get back to that. First player runs over it. Kalajoglu runs onto it. And we saw a Seattle player lying prone on the turf after that foul. And it must have been for that red card offense against Woobens Pashis. Well, the mic didn't work for the referee there, Bobby, but I like the idea that they're trying to test out here at the GA Cup, like an NFL ref who comes on after review and explains to the crowd in attendance what just happened.
Very much so. I'm with you. Because we all think the worst part about video review is that it slows down the game. We love soccer because it keeps going, it's fast. And then all of a sudden you've got to wait for 30, 90 seconds. It's nice to keep the crowd involved, make everyone feel like they know what's going on.
We've seen in several leagues across the world that perhaps the people watching the broadcast will know what's going on, but the fans in the stands oftentimes do not. So GA Cup, a perfect place to try and test things out. And let's take a look here at what exactly happened with Wubens Pashis. Drew the foul there, which is what the referee called. Here's the sub coming in as well. Dumel Kamwa coming in for Zakiel Brault.
I was taking a second to respond to that instant replay because I was trying to measure my words and figure out what happened. Was it for a stamp that he didn't just bring his foot down on the player, that he intentionally with force stamped onto his leg?
I got to think that's what the referee was seeing there. Couldn't really see anything else.
Isn't there something frustrating about the fact that we're watching here and the point of VAR is to make it clear and obvious, and we just had a slow-mo replay and we still didn't see anything clear and obvious? I mean, I understand you want to get rid of the stamping, and perhaps the video assistant referee had another angle or could slow it down some more.
Here's wonderful play in the area, and it's skied over the bar. An excellent chance for Seattle to double their lead there. Ray Serrano still with his hands to his head there as he had a glorious opportunity inside the box.
You would definitely bet money for Ray Serrano to score that, wouldn't you? Usually so sharp in those moments.
Bobby, you mentioned the way the Seattle Sounders team likes to play, as you saw in their presentation. The extra passes along the edge of the area there really carved out a wonderful opportunity, and here they are again, streaming forward. Shifting it. Gonzalez to his left foot. Now he's crowded out by a double team. He'll retreat Gonzalez, and he spun through three players there beautifully. Gonzalez now in the area, still on the ball. Gonzalez has a shot straight at the keeper, but Azriel Gonzalez showing you all the skills he has up top for the Seattle Sounders team.
And so good on the ball. But one reason he can be so good on the ball is he stays calm there. And one reason he can stay calm is because his coaching staff have given him the calculations on where he's most likely to score goals from. And he gets the ball there. He's facing the end line. He's almost right on the end line. And from there, the chances of playing a good ball are less than if you're just a little closer to goal, a little farther off the end line. He knows that. So he feels confident to step on the ball and try and play again, try and reset.
Seattle again moving forward into the area.
And it's not about making soccer a game of numbers. It's about giving players all of the information and using the numbers to help tell a story. The numbers don't dictate where you're going to score from there. How likely you are to score from there dictates the numbers. And there's so many games and so much happens, so to finally have data at our disposal to say, hey, throughout the history of soccer, goals are mostly scored from this area. It's nice to see teams applying it in a smart way.
Seattle now again with a corner. They're a man up here and a goal up as well. Headed back to where it came from. Daniel Robles will have a second attempt here from the corner kick.
And Seattle's run the same corner kick all week. 2 on the near side of the D at the top of the box, 2 on the far side. The target is Blake Malone. He's going to run towards the penalty spot and then dart back at the near post. And Atencio is going to follow him. If it doesn't hit him alone, it goes over to Atencio.
Headed to the edge of the area. Shot it towards goal. Blocked away by Capano Gauthier. And then shielded out of play for a Seattle throw. It's really interesting, the numbers, as you mentioned, that Seattle gave in their presentation, talking about which areas of the field you're most likely to score from. And we've seen that in full effect today. You compared it to the Man City way, around the edge of the area, not perhaps selling for a long-distance shot or a cross, but trying to work it with other players around you.
And some people disagree with this way of approaching soccer, but the way I would explain the logic is, what is your probability of completing a pass in each scenario compared to the probability of that shot? So if you can connect a pass to put you a little closer and it improves your percentage likelihood of scoring there, does the probability to complete the pass exceed the probability that you're going to get from shooting? The answer is usually yes, because passing the ball is fairly simple as long as you stay composed. So the closer you can get through these simple passes, the more likely you are to score.
Really fascinating take and presentation by a Sounders coaching staff this week at the Generation Adidas Cup. There's a good block from Serrano, and now a nice pass in behind the defense, and a touch through the legs. Still in the area, tries to slot it back. Not a great clearance, still alive, and it's blocked away. Montreal living dangerously here.
And the counter to all of this, right, is, oh, they're trying to walk it in the goal. And yeah, sometimes that happens. Sometimes you do just say, put your foot through it, hit the target.
Like Marlon Vargas there, who does lead this team in assists. Perhaps could have fired that goal, but was looking for the perfect pass. But again, another corner for Seattle here in the second half. Montreal leaving just one player forward. Of course, the early red card to Wubens Pashis. In towards the back post. Headed clear by Montreal, and a foul, or offside. That's the signal from the referee there. Not sure where that would have been. Good pressure from the Sounders. The second ball won in midfield by Montreal. Tackle from behind. And now a chance for some space for Montreal into the area. Cross to the far post. Oh, it's mishit, but it's still alive for Montreal. Good shift to the feet and a fire, and he's found the corner of the far post. Wonderful finish. It's the super sub, Cedric Toussaint, and he's leveled the score.
Fantastic goal by Toussaint. Such good feet, so composed in that final moment. Players all around him. A little double touch, left, right, settles on his right foot, picks up his head, and slots it into the far post. So many players would have snatched at that and hit a flimsy shot, but Toussaint stayed composed in the critical moment, beats a defender, and finishes so well. Such a deserved goal in that moment for Montreal.
The composure in the area, so impressive for a young player, and then the ability to pick out the far corner as well.
And Montreal stole my thunder there, because I was just about to comment.
There's a slip pass through the middle, and curling effort from Robles goes wide.
And I was just about to comment how when you go down a man, you have to make a choice. And usually teams choose to drop a forward.
Take a look at the replay. It's a mishit from Omeongo, but it actually winds up being fortuitous for the impact.
Love that double touch. Left, right, very Iniesta-like. Most camps and coaches these days, when they teach that move, they say, hey, do the Iniesta. But going back to Montreal after the red card, Carter, most teams choose to get rid of a forward. They play a 4-4-1 or a 5-4, but Montreal didn't. And there still appear to just be three in the back. They sacrificed a defender and kept more numbers up front. Obviously, they need a goal, but it's still a bold move with 25 minutes left at the time.
Zachel Brault, the center defender, was the man to make way for the substitute Toussaint, who winds up being a masterstroke from the coaching staff. He's leveled the score here, despite Montreal being down a man. So Seattle up a player. The initiative will be on them the rest of this regulation time. There's an excellent touch from Laurent to win possession for Montreal in midfield.
Yeah, Montreal's shape right now is Duran Brown, who started at left back, is now the left center back. Gauthier is now the center back in the three, with Fernandez the right center back in the three.
Streaming forward there was Enrique Montana.
It appears to just be a 3-3-1-1 or a 3-4-1 with Caligaudro Joglu, trying to play between the midfield and the strikers. A bold move by the Montreal coaching staff. There's no other way to put it. Going down a man, you're tied at 20 minutes left. To stay in an attacking posture is not something you often see.
Props to the coaching staff, Coach Nicolas Gagnon. They were down a goal and down a man. The substitution pays off, and here's a substitution for Seattle that they'll be hoping pays off. Sota Kitahara checking in. Peter Kingston checking out. And Kitahara giving a big clap in midfield there, trying to rally the troops as Seattle were in great position. A goal up and a man up, and now they find themselves level. Laurent trying to get on the ball again in midfield. Strong tackle and a turn, but tackled away. Still with Montreal. Slipped in the area. Omianga crosses it. No, excuse me, that was Dumel Kamwa, the substitute. Slotted in up top. As Rubens Pashas is the man that received the red card. Corner kick for Montreal here. Cleared away by the man on the near post. Good feet there from Kanzi Belghiti. Maybe a little too much, though. Seattle trying to break forward. Excellent tackle in midfield, but then a pullback from the goal scorer, Toussaint. Just over 15 minutes left here in the second half. A wonderful encounter between Seattle Sounders and Montreal Impact. Serrano slips on the ball there. And maybe a chance for a counterattack here. Good touch from Omianga, and the strength as well. It's a 2-on-1 for Montreal. Omianga streaming forward. He tries a pass with his left foot, and it's blocked away.
Omianga did so well. He just needed to stay calm there. Instead of trying to rush that pass, he had options.
There's a heavy collision along the back line, but nothing given from the referee. Poked forward by Kalajoglu. Not sure if that was a pass or not, but it was offside. Looked like Blake Malone just trying to clear his lines there. Seattle under pressure here.
Carter, I'm looking at the body language of the Sounders attackers right now. Up a man to give up a goal, to miss those few chances. You could see right there after the play, Gonzalez flips the ball, clearly getting a little frustrated. I'm interested to see if that continues.
Certainly the body language has changed for the Seattle Sounders. You mentioned it. They had several great opportunities to go 2 goals up.
And I was literally about to say, oh, this feels like a game when the Sounders are going to miss their opportunities, and at the end they're going to rue it. But it just felt so trite. And there I would have sounded smart.
It certainly has come to fruition here. Montreal Impact, wind in their sails as well. But Seattle still do have the man advantage for the red card shown early on in here in the second half. Good ball inside. Gonzalez with a great pass into the area and fired home. Seattle with a wonderful move through midfield, and Marlon Vargas doubles his tally for the game. He's got 2 goals, and Seattle lead by 2-1.
Nope, not looking that frustrated, are they? Look like they're doing okay.
Not anymore. A wonderfully worked move, and Azriel Gonzalez with a lovely pass in behind the back line.
We see the same patterns over and over from the Sounders, and at their best, they're so fun to watch. Sometimes it feels like teams score just because they get a nice play or they get a fortunate bounce, but the Sounders, every time, it's so composed, it's so under control. They get 1v1 with their goalie and they pick up their head and you know what they're going to do.
Beautiful goal there from the Sounders to retake the lead Just over 10 minutes to play in this second half, and Montreal will have to find another goal if they want to move on to the championship of the Premier Division. Down a man and now down a goal again. There was a yellow card shown to Vargas in
Your attention, please.
the aftermath of that celebration.
Vargas of Seattle, 57 minutes. Seattle goal was scored by number 58 Vargas in the 56 minutes.
Montreal now trying to regroup. They're just being back in it for just around 5 to 10 minutes. Flipped over the top there, and Sirois will come well off his line. Plays it out of bounds. Let's take a look at this lovely goal from the Seattle Sounders that gave them the 2-1 lead.
And it's the exact pattern we talked about earlier, Carter. It wasn't a one-touch layoff like we described, but the ball goes from Atencio central. Was it Gonzalez who scored the goal? I missed the number.
I believe Gonzalez laid it off for Vargas.
So Vargas was already making his run as Atencio made the pass. It's just something they do over and over, and so much credit to the Sounders coaching staff to have them so prepared and thinking. You can only make that third man run that Vargas made if you're thinking a step ahead, and it's so impressive to see players at this age doing that.
Throw in deep in the Montreal half for Seattle. Gonzalez tried to flip it back, and now Montreal trying to stream forward.
It's also important to point out the flip side of that. We applauded Montreal Impact, staying attacking, playing three in the back. It works so well. They get even. I was saying, man, it's impressive that they're staying so attacking, and here they are leaving gaps in between their back line.
Another gap for Seattle to stream forward with Robles. He tries to slot it through the keeper. Big save from Sirois. Still alive, and a thunderous hit from Serrano goes over the bar.
You expect Robles to do better there. Not finish it himself, but he had two. He's such a good passer, and he's always so calm when he gets the ball in that spot. He picks up his head. He finds people. Here he gets into a critical moment, and he tried to shoot when he had two people open. Very un-Robles-like there.
Did have 2 assists in the group stage, Daniel Robles. At number 10 position in this 4-2-3-1 for the Seattle Sounders. We talked about Seattle really had their heads down. Looks like their tails are up now with this second goal in the second half. Ball pumped forward. Kalajoglu plays it wide left now with Dumel Kamwa trying to take on a couple defenders, and he's lost out.
It didn't come off for Kamwa there, but as we're watching the big picture of this game, your camera isn't always on it, but Kamwa is largely staying almost close to the sideline here, and he's isolated. If he gets the ball, he's 1v1 with Montana, or if he runs behind for a slip ball, if the goal for Montreal comes, it feels like it's going to come through Kamwa on this left side.
Ball stood up to the back post, headed clear, but not clear enough. Kanzi Bangita now trying to win it back for Montreal. And you could hear this shout from Capano Gauthier as he headed it to where he thought a defender on his own team was, but it was straight to a green shirt. But he's done really well to tackle in midfield, win possession back, and earn a foul for Montreal. And Robles comes off worse for wear. I believe he was whistled for the foul, but he's the man down on the turf now. Montreal making their first appearance down here at the GA Cup in the Dallas area. They're taking it very seriously. The GM and the director of academies are here for Montreal Impact.
I got a chance to talk with the general manager today, and I really enjoyed it. Get to pick his brain on how you build a club, how you balance where Montreal's at right now, because quite frankly, they're not Toronto or New York City. They didn't make the playoffs last year. They haven't spent the money. So I got a chance to say, hey, how do you compete right now with these teams that are spending $5-6 million on a player? How do you both compete now and build for the future? And he had good answers to all of it. I was very impressed to hear their thought process, their thinking for how you build a club.
Of course, a new manager for the first team this year as well.
You're not going to pronounce it? I love hearing people pronounce this.
Rene Gouds.
That was gorgeous, too.
Thank
You nailed that.
Now, I think the Montreal fans watching will be upset with me for that one. But we'll have to see how Gard puts his imprint on the Montreal Impact. While the player was down for Seattle, there was a sub made by the Impact as Sean Ray, who is an American, checks in for the Canadian side. He replaces the captain, so a big loss in midfield as Yannick Laurent has to be withdrawn. Here is the newcomer, Ray, back with Kalajoglu, who's attracted a triple team there and done brilliantly to get away from it. Opportunity for a cross here. In towards the penalty spot, headed clear by Malone. And then Kamwa. And it's a foul and a bit of a penalty box situation there for Seattle Sounders. I think the Montreal coaching staff upset with how the near side official allowed the injured player Daniel Robles to charge back into play at that very moment.
I didn't even notice that. So Robles came from when he was being treated. That is a good penalty box reference. And with the Canadian team on the field, you're just pandering to Canada so
Extra
hard
man
right
there.
now.
Out of the penalty box into the fire, but a little too overzealous in his challenge and kind of gave the referee an out there as he committed the foul, did Robles. And now he's been withdrawn as well as 2 Seattle players have checked in. Get you those names in just a moment here. Montreal restarting from the foul. Kamwa in a tricky position along the near hand side. It's out of bounds to Montreal. Quickly taken throw. Kalajoglu, see him lining up that kick over the top the whole way. Here's one of those. Alec Diaz comes in the game, as well as Daniel Leyva, as you can hear the PA announcer helping us out in identifying the double substitution for the Sounders. There's a lovely scoop pass, and here's the substitute Leyva. His first interaction into the game. He's crowded off the ball, Capano Gauthier. He's been strong in the tackle today, Capano Gauthier. And this could spring some white jerseys forward. Ray gives it away. Dogged, determined work to win it back, and there's numbers for the Impact. Into the feet of Omeonga. Oh, he's just off balance. Couldn't find a teammate. Cleared away by Seattle.
No doubt the Seattle Sounders coaching staff is going to be yelling at their players. To be up a goal with 5 minutes left and commit 5.5, 6 players of the attack so that Montreal can win it and then counter you. We talked earlier about balancing development with learning how to win games. These young players cannot allow that to happen. There's people's livelihoods on the line. You've got to be sharper than that when you're leading.
See how they react. Seattle Sounders, another great cross, punched away this time by Conrad Lee. Omeonga was lining up for the jump at the penalty spot, and the goalkeeper does really well to punch it clear of danger. Ray now into Kalajoglu. His first touch lets him down. Still with Montreal. Capano Gauthier just about touched that right into the path of Leyva. Omeonga trying to post up and just a little over-aggressive. Blake Malone stepping in front of him there. Malone will take his time getting up there. One of the standout performers for this Seattle Sounders team at this competition. So just under 3 minutes to go here in regulation. Seattle trying to see out this 2-1 lead. They took the lead on the 4-minute mark in the first half through Marlon Vargas. And early on in this second half, a red card to Wubens Pacius for Montreal Impact really changed the nature of the game. But Montreal able to equalize shortly thereafter through the sub, Cedric Toussaint, only for Marlon Vargas to double his tally and restore Seattle's 1-goal lead. That is where we stand as we move forward into the final 2 minutes. Well tackled there by Duran Brown. Deflected pass actually works out for the Impact. Omayanga just lost it there. And at this point, Leo Burney just not really caring where the ball goes, trying to clear his lines. So we're down within 2 minutes to go in regulation. Burney continuing his trend of playing every minute so far in this tournament, along with the right back, Montana, who has just earned the foul for Seattle. And Josh Atencio in midfield as well. The three stalwarts for Seattle Sounders going to distance again here today, it seems.
Carter, we should give a shout out to Ray Serrano as well, because there's been a bug going through the Sounders, and Serrano was sick all week. And the Sounders coaching staff said, you know what, he didn't complain once. We asked him, can you play? He said, yes, I can play, coaches. It's impressive to see someone fight through, as they put it, to fight through the pain and the illness he's had this week. And here we see him going likely a full 70 minutes, just a couple days out of, being sick in bed. It's impressive to see.
Very impressive from the youngster. As we mentioned, has already earned his first professional contract. There's a great sliding tackle from Connor Drought to break up what looked like a nice attack for Montreal, and the slip pass in behind is offside Alec Diaz, just straying into an offside position.
Drought again, though. Drought and Malone put another great performance together.
Montreal running out of time here. The semifinal in its final stages is behind the play. Diaz fouled Durand Brown as he got the cross forward. So Montreal can restart here, as we've been told there's 4 minutes of added time here for Montreal to find an equalizer. Durand Brown, another attempt at a cross. It's decent shape to it. And the Montreal player goes down in the box, claiming an elbow. It's a foul against Seattle. And Kanzi Belghiti still motioning to the referee.
Looking down at the Montreal coach, he half made the VAR symbol, which, of course, if you make the VAR symbol to a referee, it's a yellow card. And it's always fun to see these players go to make it and pull themselves back. Not just here, but even in MLS.
Not reviewed, and then a lovely pass in behind. Streaming in is Diaz to finish the game off. Big save from Sirois keeps Montreal still alive.
Another great pass from Serrano. He's had somewhat of a quiet game, but he still makes these clever passes, often across his body. A right-footed player playing on the right, so good at making those slicing passes through the defense across his body.
Montreal coaching staff giving the fourth official an earfall here. So they wanted a review. Of course, their player sent off from a video review for what the referee deemed to be a stamp on a Seattle player. Time dwindling here for Montreal to find the equalizer. Spot in the Premier Division championship game on the line. Seattle trying to see this one out. Taking his time, Connor Drought drops it forward, and it's a throw for Montreal.
Montreal needs to get more numbers here forward. Right now, they've only got 2 players up at the midfield line. The other 7 are behind the ball, and you can't necessarily blame them. They're concerned about Sounders getting the third to finish them off, but at some point you've got to take your risk. You've got to let the game open up. Because we've already seen that perhaps once the Sounders do go forward, here again they're attacking with 5. Atencio, who's one of their double pivots, is even with the ball. And look how
It's good passing from Montreal as well. And perhaps Seattle open up, and a pass through the middle blocked by the referee. You hear a shout from the Montreal players. Perhaps their last chance there. Deflected away by the man in yellow.
And that's what we're talking about here. Atencio is again. Look, there's only 4 or 5 players behind the ball for Sounders. They've got 5 in front of the ball. Guys, I know you're young, but you're up a goal in injury time. Manage the game right now.
In the semifinal as well. Seattle up a man. Trying to see this 1-goal advantage out. And you called it, Bobby. Did a little forearm from the attacking player trying to post up. It's been called all day long by the referee. Called once more.
I've seen referees had a lot of tendencies. I've never seen this one, though.
It's an interesting one. He has certainly paid attention to that post-up motion. Capano Gauthier just about getting that one away, and then a poor touch from Zachary Fernandez, who was Montreal's best-graded player through the first 3 games of the group stage. Haven't got to see a lot from him in this game today, and he'll be disappointed with that touch. As it gives possession back to the Sounders. Strong tackle from Camwa. There's Atencio, attentive to the danger. And Seattle has done it. They use the man advantage to their advantage. And despite conceding an equalizing goal, they get the winner through Marlon Vargas, and the Sounders move on to Saturday's championship game in the Premier Division.
And the Sounders deserve to make it to the final, both on their performance today. Scoring the nice early goal, going up a man, getting the winner, but they were also the best team in the division throughout. It's nice to see a team that deserves it and earn it go through the final.
So Marlon Vargas scoring on the rebound in the first half to give Seattle the lead. This was a good matchup between these two teams throughout.
And a strong performance by Montreal. They should be very good. Everyone kind of felt that they deserved to be in the Champions Division this week. That they let themselves down in qualifying, and they were the likely winner going into the week. And Montreal was great to fight back after going down a man.
They get the goal, as you saw there, from the substitute, but Marlon Vargas buries it into the far corner. And that wound up being the game winner for the Seattle Sounders. They're moving on to Saturday. 2-1 victorious over the Montreal Impact. And who will they play? Stick with us, as we'll be back for the second semifinal in this Premier Division. New York Red Bulls taking on Monterey coming up shortly. But a final score in the first semifinal, Seattle 2, Montreal 1.